I wrote a post last week discussing the Miami Dolphins defense, which has lost and added many new players and changed coordinators. With that in mind, I then asked the following question: my biggest concern is the front of the defense. DBs are solid, but we need to be able to stop the run consistently. This defense should be more than capable of stopping teams in our division, though. There is no question we have the talent on defense, and offense for that matter. The question is, can we keep these guys healthy enough for the whole year? If we do this, with particular emphasis on OL and pass rushing, I don't think there is anyone we can't beat. As far as defensive talent goes, my concerns are at corner and DT. CB Kendall Fuller seems capable on numbers. I guess being jock-stripped by Tyreek Hill last year in Washington doesn't define one as a bad corner. No doubt Reek has done that to better cover guys as well. Although they may have lost their strap, they didn't lose their label. I'm not sure what percentage load of passing went Fuller's way last year, but this year is going to see a lot more as he is now playing opposite Ramsey. Is he going to be up to the task? Meanwhile, Cater should be our slot guy. But then what? Will Anthony Weaver give Cam Smith directions to Hard Rock? Nick Needham is likely moving to safety. Siran Neal is a special teams ace and seldom plays at DB. That apparently leaves Ethan Borner, Jason, the latest WHO designation, Maitre, and of course, the unflappable, or should that be flappable, Storm Duck for corner depth. Given this state of things, I think we should give plenty of consideration to re-signing Eli Apple, who has likely played in more career games than the rest of crew past Ramsey and Fuller, accounting only DB games for Neal. You never know what you are going to get from Apple, but he does do more good than bad, and he can make big plays to go along with his far superior experience. DT got a massive windfall when we picked up Calais Campbell. I suspect that he will play most of his time inside, where he had some excellent production under then defensive coach Anthony Weaver. He is one of the best answers we could come up with to the void left by Christian Wilkins. But how much of a game can he play at 37-38? The players behind him currently include Gallimore, Tart, Hand, B. Jones, and Pioli. We are going to have to count a lot on whoever remains from this rotational group. Even with Campbell replacing CW, that's still a net loss for the team. Our edge guys, already compromised with Phillips and Chubb still in health question, are going to have to generate a lot of pressure from their own efforts compared to edge guys last year, as we now lack CW's penchant for drawing double. We will just have to wait and see how good the defense is. I am hopeful the offense can keep the defense off the field more. I noticed some of these new players have experience in Weaver's defense, and hopefully this helps with a better defense. I don't think there is any way it could be worse than Fangio's. Changes in the scheme won't be that big of an issue. On this side of the ball, we've got a lot of veteran players who've played in different schemes, so that will get picked up pretty quickly. The communication part of it may be different, and that's usually where the learning curve is. Wilkins is a loss that will be felt, but it can be overcome. If you look at the DT group and ask, are we better without Wilkins, you would have to say not. If the question is, are we better without Wilkins and Davis, now you might be onto something. Weaver is counting on group production, not individual production from this position. And the guys he's brought in have shown they can do that. The question is going to be same question we seem to have every year. Are the star players going to be able to deliver, especially against the better teams in the league? We won't find that out for a few months yet. With a new DC and a lot of new players, it's pretty hard to determine how the defense will perform, but on paper, they look pretty stable. Yes, Wilkins will be missed, but I do think the rotation they'll have in place will make up for his production on the D-line. Campbell is the cherry on top, as he still has plenty of gas in the tank and can lead along with Sealer. Phillips should come back full strength, but I'm guessing Chubb will take a while to work back into shape, but Barrett, Robinson and Kamara should be able to keep the fire burning until the starters return. Poyer is a smart player and May is good. Fuller is probably not as accomplished a name as Howard, but he is one of those players that does his job well with little drama, so what more could you ask? He should pair well with Ramsey. I think the secondary is better, less injury-prone, and will gel nicely. I like the linebackers and think they will be a step up from Baker in coverage, allowing the secondary more room to be effective. Weaver should bring some fight to the defense. As a former player, he knows what they're thinking and seeing on the field, so the players respect him and know he's one of them. I think if they are more aggressive and attacking all over the field rather than laying back, they'll be fine and should be an effective defense. Our offense should be able to score a lot, so the D simply has to stop other teams from matching that. I do believe they'll be up to the task. As usual in today's NFL, injuries and recovery from injuries will play a major role. Players who tear their Achilles or ACL are usually not the same the following season. It's the second year back that they regain their form. If Chubb and Phillips follow that pattern, it's going to be a tough year for the defense. Additionally, it will take a few games to acclimate to the new DCS scheme, so expect some mistakes early on. Finally, Wilkins is going to be missed. Siler's numbers will drop a bit as he'll get all the double teams now. Well, as I like to say, with last year's defense and having won the Super Bowl, why would we have made any changes at all to the defense? As fans, we certainly am hoping we can stop the run better, defend the pass better, special teams are better. IMHO, the defense will be better than last year for two reasons: depth and scheme. We became too predictable with the past two DCS. Either all out blitzing with one and play it safe, ball in front of you, type of defense with the other. It will be interesting to see how much we mirror the Ravens and, more importantly, whether our personnel live up to their type of production. On the other front, depth, we are way more prepared than last year. I'm anxious to see how they gel and whether the loss of Wilkins turns out to be a huge deal. My hope is not. Seems like the million-dollar question. You almost expect McDaniel to add a new wrinkle to the offense even though they are already really good. The defense is weird though. They kind of look better on paper despite losing players. Some of the weak links seem to have been replaced by better players, but there are a ton of unknowns that start with the coach. Weaver seems like a good dude though, so I'm excited to see what he does and I'm rooting for him. I see the defense as a sleeper pick for success. It could crash and burn too, but it is hard to count out guys like Ramsey. Yes, and we shall all see signs of the improvement by the time week 2 ends for the Finns. Conveniently, that is only 4.5 days after kickoff. How could it in a reasonable manner? Well-written article, but the above mentioned, not just the loss of Phillips but how he was hurt, Chubbs after a trade for a first round and a big new contract and being in the game in garbage time. The Dolphins had more players injured on D than I can ever remember. This article is the defense going from 23 to 24. But it also brings the third man coaching the D in 3 years, which is a very long way from Mike Westhoff coaching special teams. I will have to see it to believe it. Chop seems he could produce, which they need first snap.